combined agenda and regular meeting of the Monroe Township Council. For those who may be wondering, our council president, Miriam Cohen, is out sick this evening, so as vice president, I will take control. Our first order of business, of course, will be salute to the flag. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Miriam Cohen, let the record show that Councilwoman Cohen is absent this evening. Councilman Charles DePiero.
Here.
Councilman Michael Markell.
Here.
Councilwoman Rupa P. Siegel.
Here.
Councilman Terrence Van Zora.
Here. May we read the sunshine law into the record?
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, it is hereby announced and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting that adequate notice has been provided by the following. 1. Posted on the bulletin boards within the municipal building on December 29, 2023, and remains posted at that location for public inspection. 2. Printed in the Home News Tribune and the Cranberry Press on December 29, 2023. 3. Posted on the Monroe Township website. And 4. Sent to those individuals who have requested personal notice. In accordance with Chapter 3, Section 17 of the Monroe Township Code, public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes unless further time is granted by the Council Vice President.
At this time, I will be asking the council for consideration of the following resolution of appointment. A 3-year term from February 1st, 2024 until February 1st, 2027, under Resolution R 2024-046, which is a resolution appointing Christine Robbins as municipal clerk for the Township of Monroe. As some of you probably know, many of you know, Christine Robbins was hired by Monroe Township back on May 18th, 2015 as a deputy township clerk. She came to us from Englishtown, where she had worked since 2004, ending her career there as a deputy clerk. She received her certified municipal registrar certification in January of 2007 and her registered municipal clerk certification in October of 2009. So I would need a motion from one of our council members, please.
Moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Can I have a roll call vote, please? All those in favor say aye.
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 So roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, never mind.
Councilman Charles DePiero.
Definitely yes.
Thank you. Councilman Markell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Congratulations. We will now have Christine sworn in by Tanya Panucci, who will be
Our deputy.
who is our deputy clerk, okay.
Yes.
Holding the Bible will be her mother Maureen, accompanied by her husband Brian, her son Alex, and her daughter Allison. Also in attendance at tonight's meeting are her best friends Lori and Barbara, her niece Ava, and her nephew Angelo. So we're going to go ahead and have that taken care of. You know, you Bible holders and guys, come on up.
Here, you can stand right there. Right there.
Christine, left hand down, right hand up. Ready? You will
Ready.
repeat after me. I, Christine Robbins,
I, Christine Robbins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of New Jersey,
and the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of municipal clerk
all the duties of municipal clerk
in the Township of Monroe,
in the Township of Monroe,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. At this point, I would ask any of our council members who would like to say a word or two to go ahead. I'll start on my left with Rupa Siegel.
Christine, I wish you all the best. Welcome to your first official meeting. I look forward to working with you through the years. Thank you.
Charlie?
Yes, I just want to say, you do a great job as the deputy. I know you're going to do a great job as a township clerk. Just continue the great work your office has always put out, and good luck.
Mike?
Thank you.
Markell.
I'd just like to congratulate you. We couldn't have found someone better, I'm sure. Thank you so much.
And Christine, I'll say that my one and only time that I've had the opportunity to sit in this chair and chair one of these meetings, I get Christine on her first day. So I'm very honored, and I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm sure you'll do wonderful. So we're going to take about a 2-minute break just so we can take some pictures with the family, and then we'll get back to regular business. The next order of business will be a public hearing on an application for, let me backtrack a second, a proclamation first, American Heart Month for February 2024. And then we will go on to a public hearing, an application for Green Acres funding. And Mr. Resimoes, I was wondering if you could help us out with this.
Sure, Council President.
This is for a 2024 Jake's Law Playground funding application, and also 2024 Park Development application, which I believe pertains to a program over at the Community Gardens, am I right?
Yes, that's correct. It's actually two Green Acre grant applications, and it's for the Monroe Township Community Garden Park. In 2022, the master plan was updated. The open space element of the master plan included recommendations for parks and recreation. The township did an extensive public outreach program. They received extensive public input, citing the need for recreation facilities in the southwest quadrant of the township. The master plan made recommendations at the township community garden for active recreation and additional parking areas. My office prepared a conceptual layout plan and environmental impact assessment for the park, which the council has copies of, and I believe some were distributed out to the public. It's also on the website, the township website as well. So my office prepared the conceptual layout of the park for an inclusive playground, restrooms, additional parking, and an expansion of the existing community garden. The concept also includes a sidewalk connection to Woodrose Lane in the Arbors development, as well as a shade structure and additional landscaping. The project will be designed and constructed in compliance with current NJDOT stormwater management rules, and no environmentally sensitive areas will be disturbed. Tree clearing will be minimized, and a tree replacement plan will be provided. The project cost is estimated at $2,876,000. The two grant requests under the Jake's Law, we're seeking 75% of that amount, and under the Green Acres Parks Development, the remaining 25%. And if the council has any questions, I'll take some questions at this time.
Any council members with questions? And so at this time, this is something subject to a public hearing. Do I hear a motion to open it to the public?
Motion.
Any second?
Well, second.
Second, Mr. Markell. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any members of the public wish to be heard on the application for Green Acres funding? Mr. Busman, welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Nice to see you.
Gary Busman, 7 Monarch Road, obviously Monroe, New Jersey.
Welcome.
As a member of the garden, being its a treasurer, and also a member of the Parks and Recreation Board, I commend the town for seeking this grant. There are no parks in the southern part of the municipality. This is going to be a wonderful improvement. It's something that the community will appreciate and enjoy for a very long period of time. Thank you so much for obtaining these funds.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come up, come up. You know the drill. Name and address for the record.
Lucio Panos, 1208 C. Lindero Plaza.
Seal.
In this, is there going to be like a compost pile?
Is there going to be a compost pile?
Council President, the compost pile is part of the gardens. They currently have a compost pile, and that's not being disturbed as part of this project?
Not disturbed. In addition to it, I'm a big
Want more
composter.
compost?
Pardon?
You want more compost?
Yes.
I don't know if that's part of it.
Well, maybe I
Certainly
might
it's something
consider
we can
it.
take a look at, and again, that is part of what the gardens community is doing out there now. They are composting. They have a really good program as well.
I just want more.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your input. Anybody else want to be heard? Okay. Hearing no one else, can I have a motion to close the public portion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Second, Charlie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving along on the agenda, we now have ordinances for a second reading at February 5th, 2024 regular meeting.
Would you like me to read them?
Yes. I will ask our new clerk to do the honor of reading these ordinances for second reading.
Ordinance 01-2024-001, Supervisory Personnel 2024 Salary and Wage Ordinance for Monroe Township, Middlesex County. Ordinance 01-2024-002, Bond Ordinance of the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, appropriating $2.5 million expected to be received as a grant from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs to supplement the $2 million appropriated by Bond Ordinance 06-2023-022, finally adopted August 7th, 2023, to provide for improvements to the police building and the expansion of the parking lot.
Okay. And then we have our ordinances for introduction tonight.
Ordinance 02-2024-003, an ordinance of the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, to authorize a conservation restriction agreement for real property known and designated as Tax Block 60, lots 28.4 and 28.4 Q Farm, also known as 330 Schoolhouse Road, on the official tax map of the Township of Monroe for open space. Ordinance 02-2024-004, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, appropriating $2,900,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,396,640 bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof. Ordinance 02-2024-005, bond ordinance providing for improvements to Applegarth School in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, pursuant to a shared services agreement with the Township Board of Education, appropriating $5 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,761,900 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. Ordinance 02-2024-006, ordinance appropriating $2,300,000, of which is from a State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs grant, and $2 million of which is from the Middlesex County Open Space, Recreation and Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant for the acquisition of property for use as open space in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
Any comments from council members? Okay, we'll move on now to resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the resolutions? Exceptions? None tonight?
Not tonight. There's the first for everything.
Quite a few firsts tonight, as a matter of fact.
I'm
Okay.
good, thank you.
All right. We don't need any vote on this, right? Just okay. All right, so we have now reached the public comment section for agenda items only. So if anyone wants to be heard on any of our agenda items at this time, you're welcome to come forward. We have a 5 minutes per speaker. If you have comments on non-agenda items, you'll have your chance at the end of the regular meeting. All right, make a motion to open. Someone?
So moved.
Open to the public?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
I see one hand. Come up.
Good evening.
Name and address, sir.
Joe Atanasio, 21 Wellington Place, Monroe.
Nice to meet
My
you.
question is on R2 2458, the purchase of the Ford Explorers, and also on R2 2024-67, the purchase of the Chevy Tahoes. Are any of these electric?
I'll refer to Mr. Weinberg.
No, neither of them are electric, including the police vehicles.
No hybrids either?
No, actually, we've been trying to purchase, Council Vice President, if I may, we've been trying to find some electric vehicles, but it's been harder to find within the government purchasing process. So they are not hybrids.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Lucille?
Hello again, Lucille Panos, 1208 C. Lindera Plaza. 2024-005 and I guess 047. I sort of want to combine that because it alludes to shared services with the Board of Ed. Let me say this. I would hope that all you people, last council meeting, somebody came up and said, do you have a plan for the migrants? Well, Jamesburg, it just got 25 families using the same address, and how many are going to our schools?
Oh, hold on a second now. You're talking about migrants in Jamesburg, and I don't see that on
Okay,
our
no.
agenda.
Let's get to, it goes to our schools now.
Well, we get to the school portion.
Right, now we're getting to the school portion. These people that come into Jamesburg and are attending Monroe High School.
All right, hold on.
No,
Lucille,
that's not what this
Okay.
What's on
it's
the
about-
agenda
okay,
is not the school.
You're right, sir. Which
speak
brings me
about
to
that
the
later.
next question. 2448. You got an additional, the township attorney gets an additional $65,000 for what? How much is, wait, I didn't finish, please,
you
sir.
asked the question.
Okay, I didn't finish it. So I have two questions. For what? How much is the overall salary? And three, when you go online, you should look at the typo, because it's not 65,000 online. In the verbiage part, it's 65,300. Okay? Then my last one is, like this person said, I know vehicles, electric vehicles might be hard to find, but I think I was here last year. If you have any foresight to please, go put your order in now. If people are gonna be mandated at a certain year to have vehicles, then have some foresight here and go put your orders in. And you can't say we can't find them. So those are three
We'll say
questions.
this on the last one. I am all in favor of trying to do whatever we can.
Well, then vote no on this, Ted.
But it's not always,
Yeah.
they tell me it's not always easy, but
Yeah.
I think it's something to at least strive for.
I know, I see that in your eyes when I speak of that. So vote no on it and give a little pressure. You don't have to follow the crowd. And the salary, how much is the overall salary?
It's not a salary.
It's
That's the point. It's the contract with my law firm. I
Okay.
don't get a salary. I'm not
So-
a salaried employee.
Okay, so are you hired by contract with your law firm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how much did your law firm make off this
So Alan
township?
could tell you what the total, for all of the township's legal work, including all of
Right,
its...
so I think out of the current fund, I've made notes for myself. I think we were at $446,000. Previously, our law budget has been as high as $700,000 when I first got here, so this is significantly lower. And part of the increase is the fact that we have a couple different areas of litigation that we have to defend ourselves on.
And I see
the-
it's environmental, this one particular 65,000. Is that the BFI? What's going on with that?
The largest driver of it is the
Right, what's
BFI.
going on with that?
Well, we can't discuss litigation in public. It's just, no one does that. So that we are in active litigation with them, and I think everything that we can say certainly has been said. We're trying to certainly protect the interests of township residents.
So, Counselor, that you're getting paid for this, how long has this litigation been going on?
This
Did you get-
litigation, well, actually, the dispute with BFI has been going on for almost actually more than 3 years now. The actual litigation got filed about 18 months ago. There's about, 120,000 documents that are involved in the case. It's a very extensive litigation.
All right, so then you're saying you're well worth, your firm is well worth the money?
I think we are.
Oh, yeah, I would assume so. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucille. Anyone else wish to be heard on agenda items? I know who you are, but if you could please state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate it.
I am Beth DePiro, 404 Spotswood Gravel Hill Road in our great town of Monroe.
Welcome once again.
Thank you. And welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Beth.
I have a question on R2 2024-050 about the shared service agreement with the Township of Marlborough with their swim club. Is that for students? Is that for public?
I have an idea, but I'm going to refer to Mr. Weinberg anyhow.
So it gives a discount rate for neighboring towns who do the shared services agreement. I think the three categories are family, I want to say married couple, and senior citizen. There's three different rates. And it's the same rates, not the same exact rates, but the same categories that I believe Marlborough has for its own residents.
It's family, individual, and senior.
Sorry, family, individual, and senior, right. Got it.
Okay, beautiful. That's all I have, so thank you.
Nice to see you again. Anyone else on the agenda items? Mr. Gunkelman, are you coming forth?
As fast as I can.
Didn't know if you were stretching your legs or you wanted to be heard, that's all. You're welcome, as always.
Overrated.
If you could, again. please
George
state your full
Gunkelman,
name.
5 Kellicourt, Monroe.
Welcome again.
On page 2, 005, which is the $5 million. Why is this coming from the municipality and not from the school district?
Which one are we talking about?
Page 2.
Yeah, but which-
02,
Ordinance.
204, 005.
Ordinance 2024-005. Alan, that's the 5,000.
5 million, yeah.
5 million.
5 million.
Yep. So as I understand, and hopefully I get this all correct, the school district was fortunate enough to win what's called a regular operating district grant, something that doesn't happen a lot. I think it's been about 10 years since the state gave out grants to what are called regular operating districts. They put in an application for a $10 million project, and they were awarded a $4.05 million grant from the state. They also received, I believe, a $1 million grant as part of the last budget. So I believe they have $5 million, give or take $50,000. And in order to move forward on the project, they needed an additional $5 million to match that, what is essentially $5 million in state money. Without that $5 million, I would imagine that the money could potentially go back to the state or what have you. I don't believe that the school district, and I can't be a complete expert on this, has the ability to raise that money themselves within their budget, obviously. So we can do that, and this becomes an opportunity to keep important grant dollars within the township that were successfully won by the Board of Ed and ultimately save taxpayers' money in the long run.
Got it?
Yeah, got it.
Basically,
Yeah,
They're getting $5
I
million,
understand
but we gotta
perfectly
put in
what's going
another
on
$5
here,
million.
but here's the issue. The school district is a separate entity,
yes.
and they're not matching the grant that they applied for. We're matching it for them. The reason they don't have the money is not because they didn't look around in their budget, is because they can't get the community to support them in their actions in a bond issue.
Well, I'm not going to speak for the school
Well,
board.
no,
I
we've
don't know
gone
that
through the
that's
bond
case,
issue, it
but-
went down. It's history, it's
But-
not speculation, it's history.
Well,
I will add one thing.
But it's a dangerous territory for us. I'm in favor of education, I'm in favor, this is an opportunity that I think we need to cash in on. But let's be clear here, the school, and the school board in particular, needs to find it in itself an ability to communicate with the community to get its support, rather than to come to the municipality and say, bail us out because we don't have community support. And I don't think that's where we want to go. I mean, we have separate budgets, and now we're crossing over into there, and I think it requires a hard look, but I'm not saying pass up the opportunity, because in the end, it will be a tax-paying thing, tax-saving thing for the music. But pouring $10 million into Applegarth School is probably not many people's idea of money well spent. But
Thank you.
that's why it didn't pass in the first
Thank you for your
place.
opinion. I appreciate it.
Okay. The next question I had was on 006, which is the appropriation of money for acquiring open space land. Is that site currently under farmland preservation?
Weinberg?
So, thank you, Council Vice President. The site is currently farmland assessed, but it is not farmland preserved. So I want to make that clear. You know, different properties can be operated as farms that give them a lower rate, but it is not preserved in any way.
Okay, thank you. That was my question there. Going to the consent agenda, 047, shared services agreement. What are these shared services? What are we getting for this?
That's the bond. I think that's the companion to the bond issue you just discussed.
Obviously it is, but what
I
are the
can
shared
answer.
services that we're supposedly getting?
Give it to Mr. Weinberg again.
So that's a good question, and I should mention earlier too, and I'm pretty sure of this, I don't think for a ROD grant, which is what makes it a unique opportunity, you can partner with a bond referendum. It has to be actual cash that's ready. So fair points that you made earlier, but I'm just want to clarify that. The shared services agreement here is that we obviously work cooperatively with the Board of Education on a whole host of things, including our recreation and at times our cultural arts and other programs, the Green Fair. And so as part of this agreement, we will continue to use the schools for the benefit of those programs collectively with the school, whether it be rec practices and a variety of other rec activities, and continue to work with them around the issue of security as we always, look at that as well. So it's a shared services around accessing school spaces for our residents as part of our recreation and other programs, continuing to do that in the future.
George, you've run out of time for the moment. Certainly welcome to come back later on.
Your generosity is overwhelming. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary?
Gary Busman, 7 Monarch Road, Monroe. I want to pick up on what Mr. Gunkelman just said. The Board of Education is an entity unto its own, therefore responsible for its own well-being, raising of financing, spending of money. So, as George said, it's a known fact that the residents of Monroe don't want to spend any money for more education. They've been 2 budgets, they've been voted down. Every referendum that they've put forward has failed. The township has purchased property, the golf course on Applegarth Road, which cost us a couple of $1 million. I'm not sure of the dollar amount. We conveyed that to the Board of Education, and nothing has come from that. The municipality has seen no benefit at all from that acquisition. Just like the $5 million that we're talking about now, I voted positive on every education budget that's been put forward. So it has nothing to do with education as it relates to us children. We need to be cognizant of fiscal responsibility to the residents of this town that pay taxes to the fire department, the Board of Education, and the municipality to complete the function and their responsibility to serve our community. Please consider this. We're spending $5 million. You want to spend $5 million to raise $5 million. What are they going to do with the $10 million? Thank you.
All right, thank you. You want to respond or not? I understand that even if we're not going forward with the same extensive repairs and additions and things at the Applegarth School that may have been proposed, there are still some things that are somewhat necessary in order for the safety
Yeah,
of
so-
the children.
So just to add in, and I'll let the Board of Ed speak to this because it's their application, but I believe it's basically HVAC and roof work that is the significant part of it. And I will reiterate that ROD grants don't happen a lot, and getting a 50% match in any investment is a really great thing for the community. Normally, when you go out to debt service, that percentage of state assistance can fluctuate depending on the type of project and be much less. So this is really a good bang for your buck to get a 50% match from the state, which is why I know the mayor was supportive of this opportunity and moving forward.
Anyone else have any public comments on any of the agenda items this evening? Anyone there? Can I have a motion to close the public comment section?
Motion.
Charlie, second?
Second.
Second, Rupa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can we now have a motion to adjourn the agenda meeting?
Motion.
Second. Second, Mike. Roll call?
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vanzora.
Yes. Time?
The time is 7:06.
I don't know how much it matters. I always wanted to say the time thing. All right. At 7:06 now, I'd like to call the regular meeting to order. Can I hear a motion, please?
Motion.
Charlie's motion, second.
Second.
Rupa, can we have a roll call on that?
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vanzora.
Yes. Okay, first, motion to approve the payment of claims per run date January 31st, 2024. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. Second by Mike. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vanzora.
Yes. We now move to approval of the minutes. A motion to approve the minutes of the following meetings as written and presented. December 4th, 2023, agenda and regular combined meeting. December 20th, 2023, agenda and regular combined meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vanzora.
Yes. We now move on to our ordinances for a second reading. First one, 01-2024-001, supervisory personnel, 2024 salary and wage ordinance for Monroe Township, Middlesex County. Public hearing?
Need a motion to open it.
Okay, can we have a motion to open a public hearing on this issue?
Motion.
Second? Second. Roll call.
All in favor?
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anyone wish to be heard on this issue? Seeing no hands and seeing no one arise from the back of the room, I will assume no one wishes to be heard. Can we now have a motion to close the public hearing portion? Motion, Charlie, second.
Second.
Rupa? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move down to,
You need a motion to adopt.
Roll call.
I'm sorry, apologize. At this point, I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt.
Motion.
Motion by Charlie, second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vanzora.
Yes. Next one is 01-2024-002, the bond ordinance of the Township of Monroe and the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, appropriating $2,500,000 expected to be received as a grant from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs to supplement the $2 million appropriated by bond ordinance number 0-6-2023-022, finally adopted August 7, 2023, to provide for improvements to the police building and the expansion of the parking lot. This includes a $2.5 million grant from the state. Can I have a motion to open this for public hearing?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Anyone from the public wishing to be heard on this issue? Come on forward. I know who you are, but for the record,
How you doing?
nice to see you.
Frank Steinhauser, 19 Oliver Street. What are the, I know I've asked several times, let's build up the police department, let's give them the facilities adequate to perform the great job they're doing in the street. So what exactly are the improvements that they're going to make to the police station?
Mr. Weinberg, would you like to handle that?
Sure. So it's a complete rehabilitation inside, and I believe, I don't have my numbers right in front of me, but I think a 3,000 or over 3,000 square foot addition as part of it. There's going to be a large new dispatching area, some additional meeting rooms, upgraded locker areas, and will allow the police department building to, right now it has 67 sworn officers. I think when it first opened, if I recall correctly, I believe there was only about 27 or 28 officers that moved into that building, so it's grown quite significantly. This will also allow us to have a parking lot in the back that'll be secure and be able to handle the volume of cars that we have, and really be able to handle the growth of our police department for the years to come. So this was designed by an architect in coordination with the police themselves, and I think everyone's really excited for it to move forward.
Having experienced it firsthand up in the city a couple times, I would really urge, if they haven't done it or considered it at least, maybe installing bulletproof glass on the exterior. Obviously, they're all exterior windows, but I think that would be tantamount to the safety of our officers. Like I said, having experienced it firsthand in the city, it ain't fun.
Yeah, it's a great point, and we do follow, there's very specific rules about constructing police buildings, including things like you just mentioned, and a whole variety of locks and other things that are specifically designed for the police department and safety in mind. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish the seal?
Repeat it all the time, my name?
Yes.
Lucio Panos, 1208 Sealandera
I'd
Plaza.
like to make sure that you still remember it.
In my old town, the police department had a shooting range downstairs. Does this one have?
They're having trouble hearing you, maybe. I don't know if the thing is not up to your mouth. Oh, sorry.
Does this have a shooting
We heard that
range?
part.
A shooting range downstairs. I know the township I came from, they did. I was just curious.
Yeah, we do not have a shooting range within the building at this point. Certainly can take that under advisement, but at this point, we don't have a shooting range within the building. This expansion wouldn't create a shooting range either within the building.
For the benefit of the police officers.
Understood.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, can I have a motion to close the public portion?
Motion.
Charlie, second?
Second.
Rupa? All those in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Yeah, to close the public portion, now we need a motion to adopt.
Okay, now, we have a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Motion.
And second?
Second.
Okay, we need a roll call vote on this.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes? Thank you. Motion approved. Number 5, ordinance for introduction, 02-2024-003, an ordinance of the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, to authorize a conservation restriction agreement for real property known and designated as Tax Block 60, lots 28.4 and 28.4Q Farm, also known as 330 Schoolhouse Road, on the official tax map of the Township of Monroe for open space. Can I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
A roll call vote?
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes. 02-2024-004, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Monroe and the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, appropriating $2,900,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,396,640 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes. 0-2-2024-005, bond ordinance providing for improvements to Applegar School in and by the Township of Monroe, County of Middlesex, New Jersey, pursuant to a shared services agreement with the Township Board of Education, appropriating $5 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,761,900 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes. 0-2-2024-006, ordinance appropriating $4,300,000, $2,300,000 of which is from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs grant, and $2 million of which is from the Middlesex County Open Space Recreation and Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant for the acquisition of property for use as open space in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey. Motion, please.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes. We now move to our resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes. Item 7 would be resolutions removed. I believe we do not have any resolutions
There are none.
removed this evening, confirmed by our clerk. So we will now move to our administrator's report, and I will turn that over to Mr. Weinberg.
Thanks, Council Vice President. Appreciate it. The mayor, unfortunately, is out sick today, so I'm going to share some comments from him as well. He did want me to report that he's reached out to the governor and the legislators on the proposed upcoming state budget, asking for more money for school funding, keeping Anchor at $1,750 or more, expanded senior freeze, which is going to come into fruition this year, more down payments on Stay NJ, and even more energy receipts tax, which helps over here on the municipality side, continuing the focus on affordability. So hopefully more to come on that. Do want to mention the Green Acres Park Improvements is a positive grant application, so very excited about that. Special thank you to DPW and MTUD and Parks, who assisted them on a great job in the last snowstorm. It wasn't actually an incredible amount of snow, but the way that it fell and the way that the temperatures dropped so quick, I thought that the team of DPW as the lead team and MTUD and Parks and everybody did a great job of trying to get as much salt down and clean it up as quick as possible because of the quick freeze. It's certainly not an easy job, and so we just want to say thank you to them for that. The local recreation grant was also on here. Last year we got $75,000 for volleyball courts over by Avenue K, and there's an application on here for hopefully $100,000. That's the maximum you can apply for some pickleball and volleyball courts over by the senior center as well. That's in addition to the Green Acres application. With the approval of the bond ordinance for the $2.5 million grant, we can move forward on the groundbreaking soon, hopefully in a couple of weeks, on the expansion of the police building, thanks to that $2.5 million grant from the state, so we appreciate that as well. And then finally, there's some new carpeting in the building in the process, much needed safety improvements where it was coming up, a couple decades old. So I want to thank the employees and the residents for their patience. It's a big job, and we should be done by the end of the week. Looks a little bit different in here. With the improved parking lot outside and the new carpet and a little bit of new paint, hopefully Town Hall continues to be a good experience for our residents as we move forward, and we appreciate everyone's patience. Thank the council.
Thank you so much. Mr. Rasimowitz.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Given the winter weather conditions out there, I'll give you an update on the one project that the county is doing, Old Bridge English Town Road, Mounts Mills Road, intersection improvements and traffic signal. They continue working through the winter months out there as conditions allow, and just use caution in that area as it's an ongoing construction site. That's my quick report.
Thank you very much. We can now move on to council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilwoman Rupa Siegel.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Good evening, everyone. I have a few updates. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony a couple weeks ago welcoming Joe Bella Hair Salon to the community, so I wish them all the best in their new business. And I echo Mr. Weinberg with thanking DPW, Parks and Recreation, and all the other departments that helped us during the cold weather, extreme temperatures, and the little bit of snow we got. Amazing job. The roads looked amazing. And I was in the south at that time, and just seeing the difference between how much salting really makes an impact on your roads is tremendous. And I wanted to just remind everyone about the Betty Schneider Food Pantry at the Senior Center. I've had a couple people reach out to me asking me where they can make donations for food. So I just wanted to remind everyone we have a food pantry right here in Monroe in our Senior Center. And also, if you haven't seen, please mark your calendars. We have the Monroe Police Department is presenting their community safety tips this month. It's a great presentation where they discuss current crime trends, scams, and ways to stay safe. I know I've attended a couple in the past, and there's always something new I pick up from it. To mark your calendars, it's at the Monroe Township Community Center, room 101 on February 16th at 6:30, and then Monroe Township Senior Center at 12 Halsey Reed Road, February 22nd at 3:30. So please do mark your calendars and try to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DePiero, Councilman, welcome.
Thank you. So, on the resolutions tonight, we rejected the bid for MTUD for the roof. I was just wondering, I know that was, what's our plan going forward for future bidding, and also, are we going to get a quick fix because of the situation with the roof and the animals getting in and all that type of thing? So what's our game plan with the bidding of the
Mr. Strine?
Thank you. Thank you, Council Vice President. Yes, Councilman, it's a great question. As you know, one of the initiatives that we are also considering as part of the township is putting new solar panels up. And the new bid that we're going to reevaluate is actually going to repair that flat roof on MTUD so that it would be able to support solar panels in the future. And we're also taking a look at a couple of other improvements as part of the 2024 budget year, and also revising the spec to make sure that all the contractors understand the scope of work, so we'll get a more competitive bid this time around.
Because in this building here, we all went through it a couple months ago. We had a big change order because the plywood wasn't spec'd properly, and we had to go for a big change order. So that wasn't the same situation on this rejection of this bid.
No, it was not.
All right, so we just want to make sure that we put the bid out, so we don't have a change order going in just before we even start the job. Like we did in this building.
Right.
All right, thank you. Also, I received an email from a resident in the Heritage Chase in reference to the water tower, requesting what was going on with the painting of the 522 water tower. So I sent that email over to Joe, and I forwarded it to Alan. Did anybody get back to that resident?
Joe, do you want to comment on that?
No, we have not gotten back to that resident as of yet. We're finalizing the plans for the 522 tank. Right now, it is not sized appropriately for supporting the water tower, so we're waiting for the introduction of well 25 to see how hydraulically it works within the system. Once that is accomplished, we'll be able to go ahead and make the improvements to the tank that will allow it to function. At that same time that the improvements are made, we're going to paint both the inside and outside that tank.
All right, so if somebody can get back to that resident and let us also, all of us know what the future plan is, it will be well appreciated, because that's a water tower that's getting a little bit of rust on it, like Half Acre Road one. While you're there, Joe, I got another question. Well 25, I haven't noticed any signs there yet. With the location of being well 25. I'm just concerned first responders, 911 calls, God forbid one of our employees get hurt. You guys, there's not an address, or there's not even a sign even on a fence. I went there twice today to look. There's no sign at all. There's no sign out on the lawn. It says well 25. I missed it, maybe, but I went twice. I didn't see it. We want to get signage on all our wells, all our pump stations, and stuff like that. This is a brand-new facility, but I think we need a sign on there for first responders and for employees to make sure, nobody gets hurt.
Absolutely. We're
subject to appropriate security concerns, because it's critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not quite, Joe and I haven't had this conversation yet, but we probably should have a conversation about whether or not you really do want to put signage where our township wells are and pump stations for security
Well,
reasons.
we do need to have, or put an address on it. Put the physical address. You want to have a physical address, because then how's our 911 going to be able to respond? And also dispatcher's going to be able to dispatch if there's no physical address. So if it doesn't have a sign, well 25. Call it, 472 Spotswood, Englishtown, or 474, whatever the number is.
Fair enough.
We need some kind of signage, I believe. Thank you, Joe. And also Lou, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was reading our governor is reaching out to federal funding along with 7 other governors. It was like a $3.1 billion. He's looking for some funding, or Governor Murphy, in reference to illegals and migrants, and trying to get some funding for the state of New Jersey. So seeing it, I know last month was a big question, and previous here in this building we talked about it, and now our governor's talking about it. So are we going to have a plan in a reference, if our governor's asking for funding? I know since last meeting, I spoke to people in Jamesburg. There are 10 families living in a local church right now. There's 28 more students in the Jamesburg school system from 1st to 8th grade. I don't know how many are in their 9th through 12th, which happens to be Monroe schools, and us taxpayers will be funding that. Do we have a plan on what's going on if Murphy's asking for it? Is anybody responding? Can anybody respond in reference to what the governor's doing?
I mean, so I did read a couple news reports on that. I don't know if there's any specifics around what he's doing. I know that there have been some buses that have come to train stations in, I guess, the northern end of town, where people would take the bus hypothetically into the city or into other large cities. I'm not aware of any specific plan for towns or suburban towns on how anyone would handle such a situation. We certainly don't have in Monroe any of the services or resources that folks who would need services and resources would normally look for in terms of emergency housing and a variety of other things. As we discussed at previous meetings, we got a lot of phone calls from rumors that everyone would be moving into the New Jersey Training School for Boys. That we asked that question at the meeting of the training school representatives. That is absolutely not the case. They're going to be here for another 4 or 5 years or more. So to answer your question, and I'm not aware of any set of plans. I certainly welcome any input from the council. If they have any ideas of things we could be doing, we'd be careful to use taxpayer resources. Our taxpayer resources are somewhat limited. We don't have those services, and it hasn't been something that has impacted us, and I haven't seen any plans coming down from the state or seen any other Middlesex County towns that I talked to that have done anything in particular. So that's the report that I can basically give.
Okay, thank you. It just seems, I mean, you turn the TV on, every channel, no matter what you turn on, and they're all over state, every state. And, you know, being, I guess, proactive, we have to look at it and say, look, what's our plan going to be? What if? And that's, as a fire commissioner, I always say that's a what if. What if this situation happens? What if that? And then we get a flood, and then we get a storm that our firefighters and first responders are out there day and night, and they never know what they're walking into. And they're all trained, and they're all prepared, and they have all of the equipment, and they have all of the manpower. So my concern is it's all around us, and it's getting closer, and it's just to the point where if they're in our schools already, you know, I watched on social media, I saw one Illinois councilman, you know, put a motion up to say, oh, if anybody wants to volunteer their home or they want to volunteer their empty building, you know, start a list at the township level. So we did have residents come here in the past that said, oh, I have a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, or whatever, and I'm willing to, you know, house some person if they need a home. But I'm just concerned if the governor's asking for it, that we need to keep a close eye, and we also need to keep a plan with our school system, along with their housing and everything. And that's the reason why I brought up that question, because our governor's asking for the funds. Thank you for the explanation, Alan. Thank you. Council Vice President, budget 2024. Do we have any workshop dates scheduled yet?
I will refer to Mr. Weinberg. Do we have any workshop?
I don't have anything scheduled yet. We normally do the introduction in April, at the first meeting in April, and then the approval at the first meeting in May. So that's when the budget would be introduced. And then in May, we'd have a public hearing on the budget as well. So that's how we've done it probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, we used to meet with the directors, and they used to come to us with their plan for a 10, 15-minute presentation. We used to meet here, sometimes downstairs, sometimes in this room. Are we going to be meeting with the directors of each department?
Well, you could, that's certainly something you could discuss with the council president and council vice president. That wasn't really a budget update. That was more of a department update. We never went through budget line items or anything. That happens as part of the budget hearing. So if it's something the council wants to do a department update, we can certainly, you know, accommodate that request. And you could have a conversation amongst your colleagues about that, and we could certainly work on it. But it's always historically been like a department update.
But it's something that's helpful if we can do it. Maybe, you know, Terry, if you could make something happen, I'd appreciate it with our director in each department. You know,
I will confer with my council president, so as to not overstep my authority, and see what, if anything.
Thank you. And I think it was her idea years ago.
And it was a very good idea. Had a lot of the guys come forward, and
it was helpful. It was very helpful. So thank you. I wanted to. I see the liquor license that we did a rescinding, and then we you know, we had to do some housekeeping. I had a question with the new laws that our governor just signed in January. My concern is there's a 2-year pocket license. If you have pocket license to 2 years, and then each town can extend that on a town-to-town basis, along with the, when I was reading through it, if you have an adjoining town and you want to transfer from a township to a township, is our council, I know we just had another change order for our law firm. I don't want to get too crazy here, but in a way, is it going to be something that you would be advising us with, Lou, as far as the new law changes and what our options are?
Of course, and where it might be helpful, we could start is the clerk's office maybe can just give you a memo and tell you where our licenses are, how many we actually have in pocket, how many we don't.
They
We're
did
waiting.
that.
ABC hasn't, I haven't seen it. ABC hasn't issued regulations yet, so I think we're all kind of waiting for ABC to tell us how it is exactly that's going to work. Because while it's authorized by the legislature, there really isn't the mechanism in place to explain exactly how those steps are. But certainly when we get them, we'll pass them on to council. And Madam Clerk, if you could forward that to me, that would be helpful, because I actually don't know how many pocket licenses.
Okay, I believe we have 21 active license, and they did, Patty and Tanya and Christine, they did send it. I believe the rest of the council got it. I asked for it, and I believe the whole council got it. One of the concerns I have, and I had a conversation with Tanya today, and she was very helpful, so I just want to share this. Garvey's Bar, for instance, we closed on it. It's a pocket license now. So that time would be ticking once we closed on that property, because I asked Tanya today, and the address is still at 405 Spotswood Gravel Hill, which we own that property. So if the governor has that 2-year time ticking, we needed to, when we closed, we should have put them on notice that you need to make your license inactive with ABC. And what I'm concerned about is it needs to be updated. The list needs to be updated. There's a lot of licenses that are pocket license. And now the governor is changing the law, so we have to be prepared. Are we going to give a 1-year extension, or are we going to just give 2 years and follow the governor's recommendation? So these are my questions.
I don't know if you want me to answer that. So I know normally the clerk's office handles the liquor licenses, and they can give you any information, I believe, about any current license that we have. I think what Lou reiterated is, despite the fact that a new law was created, no one has, the department has yet to promulgate any regulations or have any hearings about how that'll be implemented. So I'm not sure that clock started. I'm not sure how any of that works until the Alcohol Beverage Commission takes the law and tries to turn it into a series of regulations, which we can comment on and anyone can comment on. So I think we have to let that process move forward. But if there's any questions about an existing license, the clerk's office usually can answer the question under the current rules that exist today for the Alcohol Beverage Commission.
Okay, so Alan, the way I understand it, I've been here 6 years now, sitting up here, so every June they get renewed, so it's their responsibility to let us know if they're active or they're not active, the bar or establishment, and they file the documentation with ABC and all of that. But when we purchase Garvey's, we're the owners now. So we know that business is no more, active. So their license should be, as the date of the closing, it should go into a pocket license. And that's what I'm using as an example.
But Councilman, so the answer is, as soon as we know, we'll let you know. So probably between now and June, we'll know that. But it's hard for me to answer a question that you just made 3 legal assumptions, and I don't know whether any of them are true or not. So I don't know that the state is going to consider the date of the closing to be the date that they went into pocket. The answer is, as soon as we get the state regulation, we'll let you know. It's a relatively new law. It took a long time for them to hash it out, so it's probably going to take the department a little while for them to get the regulations in place. But as soon as we have it, I'm going to assume that the clock is going to be that before we do the renewals in June, we're all going to know what the rules are. I do find it hard to believe that they're going to go backwards and say to somebody, oh, okay, it's now June, you've been in pocket for 2 years, so you can't get an extension. I don't think it goes backwards. So the answer is I'm not really quite sure it's going to work that way, but we'll know as soon as the regulations come out. They'll tell us how to handle people who are currently in pocket and how to handle people going forward. So we'll know. As soon as we know, we'll let you know. These are all good questions. We just don't know the answers to any of them until,
Right. The other concern I have, Lou, with it is when I read through it, it's the adjoining townships or boroughs that they can buy a license in an adjoining town and move it into another town.
With the consent of the municipality.
Correct.
Okay, so that's something that would require, that I do know for sure that the law says that. This isn't going to be a circumstance where the 20 licenses in Jamesburg can end up in Monroe. Unless, of course, you all decide that you want them to be here. Okay. So I think that is and once again, we're going to have to see the state rules and regulations on that, because I need to understand for me, what it means when a license comes from Jamesburg to Monroe, does that mean it now becomes a Monroe license? And that if that person decides to move, they can't move back to Jamesburg? So at some point in time, the division of ABC, who is very good about giving handbooks to the clerks that they all follow and we all follow, as soon as they do it, we'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Bentley Road, we received an email in reference to water, sewer, flooding. Did anybody respond to that resident?
I believe we responded. Joe, you responded. Yeah, Joe responded to the resident.
All right, thank you. Because when they send out emails and you guys respond, you don't respond back to us that everybody's on emails. That's why I have to ask. When they ask us an email, I'm not the councilman on Bentley, so I did not respond, but they did include all of us, mayor, council, and everybody.
We are careful about not doing that because it violates the Open Public Meetings Act. So the reason why when somebody files a complaint through a council person, we don't copy every member of the governing body on it is because there is a concern that that's an Open Public Meetings Act violation.
Right,
so
but you could...
Typically what we'll do is we'll deal directly with the resident and solve it, and then when you ask a question, we'll answer.
Right, or they could respond to us individually, like you guys send us the agenda out and stuff like that. But either way, I'm just asking a question because the resident included all of us. Mounts Mill Road, who approved the traffic pattern for the construction?
Mark, do you know?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, the county construction site, or what
I'm talking
Mounts
about,
Mills Road are you
I'm talking about the traffic improvement that's being done on Mounts Mill and Old Bridge Englishtown Road. The detour, who approved the traffic pattern when Old Bridge Englishtown Road is only going one way? Who approved using the township loop on Mounts Mill Road?
So that was approved through the county, through the township PD, my office. We were all part of that. There was a road closure where they had to close the road to install the water lines, and we utilized that loop for a portion of the project.
Okay, so our professionals, including our police, they approved that. So if you go out there, if you look at the loop on Mounts Mill Road, which goes from Franklin Plaza to where the water main break was on Christmas Eve day, and come back out to where farmers, Salters used to have his stand there, come back into Old Bridge Englishtown Road. That road needs to be all reconstructed. It's being used as a main thoroughfare to go through, and it's not built to be having truck equipment, construction equipment, detour road. So I would highly recommend to Middlesex County Road Department, hopefully they're going to pick up the tab to redo our road on this project and do a change order or put out another bid. But it's something that the taxpayers of Monroe should not be paying for. It's something that the Middlesex County, you always told me this is a Middlesex County project. So this is something that Middlesex County should be redoing and a full curb-to-curb reconstruct, which I'm talking stone, base, binder course, and top course. Everything should be redone out there, not just the mill and pave. So that's something that, if you go out there, take a ride out there, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The road is destroyed, and it's not a road that was built for heavy equipment. So that's something that we need to address.
Sure, Council Vice President. Middlesex County did do the repairs on the road. There were some areas that broke up. There were some potholes. As you know, there was a water service break that had to be replaced, so that trench was paved. All that was done by the contractor on the site, doing the construction out there. The detour is not being utilized unless the entire roadway of Old Bridge Englishtown Road has to be closed within that area. So as of right now, I don't envision that closure until they come to the final paving of the project. And when they're paving that strip, at that point, they may be utilizing the loop again. But as of right now, they're not utilizing the loop, and it has been repaired.
Okay, but it's something that we need to keep very close eyes on. And Mark, you're our engineer. I'll stress it again, I'm sure down the road. But right now, it's something that I would look at for having them reconstruct and rebuild, because they're using it in a heavy way where that road was never constructed.
Understood. As you know, Councilman, that project, the construction costs of the project are split between Middlesex County and the township. So any work out there, we are picking up a portion of that tab.
Right, and they hit us with a nice hefty bill to move a water main that was in a conflict that they said, good luck. So we did that. So I want to return the favor by saying, hey, you just destroyed our township road by doing your county project. I want to say, to thank you, Middlesex County, for coming into our town, doing the improvement. But I have another question. When will that light be constructed?
You're looking at, I don't have a schedule of when it will be complete. It was anticipated to take about a year, so I believe that puts us sometime late summer, if I remember the schedule correctly. Also, I lost my train of thought for a moment. With regard to the agreement that, has been agreed to with the county and the shared services out there and the shared costs of the project, the water line, all the water utilities, and as far as gas utilities, all that is responsibility of the utility company. In this case, we own the water lines, and our obligation was to relocate that water line. And we had meetings to reduce it. I believe there might have been some minor changes to limit the amount of work, but yes, we were obligated to do that under the agreement that
Right,
that was
because they
approved.
designed it to move that way. So they designed it, and we ate the design, and we ate the cost of removing that water line. And they did it, and our water company did it in a timely manner, very timely manner. And we work hand in hand. And don't get me wrong, we work hand in hand with the county. I
Charlie,
understand.
I think you made your point well on this.
Right. So, and another thing, Council Vice Chair, is this: the light they did by my house, we waited 6 months for the cabinet. So I don't want to sit up here and say, is the cabinet ordered? Because if I ask for the cabinet tonight, you said in the summertime will come and they say, oh, they forgot the light bulbs. They can't get the light bulbs. There's going to be something. So the simple question is everything ordered? Is everything coming? And is the light going to work in 9 months, 6 months? So that's the question that I would ask, and that's what we rely on our professional. And Mark, you do a good job with them. Just continue the work, but just look at that road, and please, for the taxpayers.
Right.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
All right, and the other question I had, railroad crossings. I always ask about Schoolhouse Road, Prospect Plains, Forsgate Drive. Are there any updates on those railroad crossings?
Mark, you again?
With regard to potholes, is that the question?
In regard to when you go over the railroad crossings, you have to hold on to your steering wheel, and they need to be repaved. So Forsgate Drive, Prospect Plains, Schoolhouse Road, you and I had the conversation a few times.
So starting with Prospect Plains, as you know, Middlesex County has a project that has been designed. As you know, the township has been acquiring the properties out there through acquisitions. I believe there's some condemnation on a couple of the parcels that we're going through. Once all those properties are acquired, that portion of Prospect Plains Road will be reconstructed, as well as the intersection of Applegarth Road and Prospect Plains, that traffic signal. And that is all pending the outcome of acquiring the land. But the plans are designed. The crossing will be improved as part of that county project. Forsgate Drive, I've been in contact with the railroad as far as the potholes. I don't know if they've been out there at the end of last week, if they got there Friday or today. And with regard to Schoolhouse Road, I was in contact with them back in the fall. I haven't heard anything back as far as a new crossing out on Schoolhouse Road.
Okay, thank you. We got a lot of emails this month in reference to the hotline to the BFI. It's kind of depressed to hear over and over that they're still getting odors, and it's depressing to see the emails come by. And I'm sure everybody, when we see it, we feel for our residents that what they're going through in the future after all they've been through. So if there's the hotline and nobody responds to our residents from having a hotline, I just don't know what we can do. I mean, in that sense, I mean, without having Lou say, yeah, we're under litigation and all of that, but what are our residents, what other options do we have other than calling the police and calling the fire, which they do?
So I put an email out, if I may, Council Vice President. I put an email out to all the residents, and I think you were on it as well, that, you know, two of the best things you can do is, and this is regarding outdoor air, which is obviously much more complicated. As many of you know, historically, when this issue began, we were dealing with what we believed was air coming up through the sewer system into people's homes, if you've been following this issue. And we were able to build a force main that moves the leachate, which is the product that comes from the landfill, directly to the sewage treatment plant without having to go through our open sewer system, so that it would not be possible for leachate to come in through the home. So that was the major focus of that. There are, as you mentioned, a couple of folks who said that they had some unique smells, gaseous smells or what have you, outdoors, which is obviously a lot more complicated because it's hard to tell exactly where something's coming from in an outdoor environment. In my memo, I suggested two places that always, would always answer the phone, or at least certainly get back. One is the County Department of Environmental Protection, which can look into outdoor odors, as well as the NJDEP Warren hotline if someone thinks something is wrong. And as I always put in the email, if someone thinks something is an emergency, you can always dial 911. Particularly if you smell something that smells like gas. We are all sort of in tune to know that if you smell something like gas inside your house or around your house, you dial 911 or you call PSE&G and they come out and take a look at it. So those are probably the best mechanisms, and outdoor air is obviously a lot more complicated, and certainly appreciate the frustration. We do get calls, as you can imagine, from other parts of the area within the town of smells, sometimes on the South Brunswick border with the international fragrance. We get calls from a variety of different areas about smells, which is always a little bit more difficult, but the groups that handle that are the County Environmental Protection Unit and the DEP Warren line are probably the right places to go for that.
Right.
And of course,
I thank you, Alan, for sending that email.
Yep.
But just that for our residents, they're asking, and we can't answer for BFI, unfortunately. And the sign is up and the number's there. If they don't call them, we're trying our best, and Lou's firm is trying to get this resolved. The last thing I want to talk about is Garibaldi Avenue. I did get your email in reference to the gate that we installed. That the gate is, I guess, it looks like it's going to remain open, the gate? The MTUD?
right, so I guess the temporary gate, or I don't know if it's a new gate, was put in because we had someone who was, this Garibaldi is like a dirt road, for those of you who don't know, off of Avenue K near Old Forge, behind the homes there and between the park and the homes. You can see like a dirt road that goes back heading what I would say
Spring
is
Street.
South.
Spring
right?
Street.
So there was we put a temporary gate in there because along that line are some manholes, and we had an incident, I believe, last summer where someone took some debris from the area. We're trying to figure out where they took debris, open the manhole and try and put it in, and that could be a dangerous situation when you put debris inside a sewer line if it clogs up. Of course, when that happens too, you also make certain notifications. So we've since welded that manhole shut, so that people couldn't use it for that. I don't know who exactly was doing it, but we're looking into it. And we put a cinder block on top, so that should be in place in terms of the safety of that manhole there.
So the gate's going to remain open?
I mean, for the purposes of that sewer system, I believe the gate could be open for that. There's certainly a separate issue. I don't know what you're referring to in particular, but from an MTUD point of view, I believe that issue has been resolved.
Okay, but the gate's going to remain open, is my question.
Well, I think it's a matter that's in active litigation now, so we don't generally take self-help. We're going to let it play through the courts, which is what we kind of always do.
but it's our property and we own the gate, we
So-
paid for the gate.
Once again, on that, it's not always about legal fees, but if you want the township to do something proactive, like sue the property owner in order to stop them from using that property, there's a cost to doing that, as opposed to just allowing this to proceed through the process. When it is resolved, then that issue will be resolved. Unless you tell me that there's some imminent danger that would require us to do something on an emergent basis, that's
Well,
our judgment.
my question was, are we going to leave the gate open? Because we went through the expense of putting the gate up, we paid for it.
I think that the answer is that we don't, the purpose of the gate was not to stop somebody from using their property.
Right.
It was to protect the manhole, but we've now protected the manhole, so there's no need to keep the gate closed, if that's the question.
Okay, so then we spent the money for the gate, we're going to leave the gate open, and we know the vandalism that's going on, and we're just going to leave the gate open.
No, we've already secured the manhole cover by welding it shut, so we don't need to have the gate anymore. That's more.
But we did that twice. We did the manhole, we welded it, the welds were broke. We know who put the debris into the manhole, and...
I don't know that we do. If you do, you should
Yeah, we do.
give
We
that
do
to
know.
us. Well, if
And I
you do
asked-
and you have proof, we should let us know.
Well, I asked for a copy of the police reports, and I didn't get a response yet from that email, but I'll...
So then I don't know how you know what we
Yeah.
don't know and what the police don't know. So if you know, and by the way, I don't want you to give it to me in a public meeting. God forbid that you should say something that's not true in a public meeting about somebody. I would prefer that you just provide that information to MTUD or to the police department, because when you say we all know who it is, we all don't know who it is. You might, but you should give us that information offline.
But I asked for a copy of all the police reports in the email I sent on Friday, and I will Oprah them because I did not get a response.
But it's an act, Councilman, it's an act, you know, you've made enough Oprah requests to know that we're in an active investigation and we have litigation, so you filed an Oprah request. You didn't get the Oprah request, but you know the answer already. So if you have information that's more information than we have, I think you should just share it with the police department.
Yeah.
So this is not about you getting an because you didn't get the police report, so you can't say, well, I got the police report so I could see in the police reports this is who did it, because I don't think we know who did it, and you haven't gotten the police reports yet. So if you have information that would be helpful to us offline, I would ask that you give it to...
Well, when we had a meeting on Thursday, and I think you were part of that meeting.
I was.
Right. So we had a discussion on that topic.
Correct.
And also, on Friday, I sent to the chief of police, I requested a copy of all police reports on Garibaldi Avenue in reference to the vandalism. There was it's crickets. Nobody responded. I copied
When did you send
Alan.
that? What day was that?
Friday.
You sent it Friday, and I'm going to tell you, once again, I'm going to say
And I
this again, and I know we're going around and around in circles. It's an active investigation.
Correct.
We had a conversation on Friday, and I generally don't disclose conversations that we have. I was on the call. It's a conversation with counsel about pending litigation, but I'm not going to get into it on public. But what I'm telling you is that you may have filed a request for documents. You're not going to get them because they're an active criminal investigation. And if you have more information, just like any citizen who has more information on this, you should give it to the police department or to MTUD.
Right, and then, Alan, you responded today at 2:30. You responded about it and said there was no such,
No,
you know, what you wrote in the email back to us was basically,
There's local investigation.
There's a local investigation,
is
and
right.
there's a lawsuit.
Right, so, I get it, but there's two separate items here.
Two separate items. That's what I was trying to ask you to clarify.
Yeah.
So,
Two separate items. All right, thank you.
Charlie?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mike?
The anticlimactic here, you know. I just have a few things to say. One thing I'd like to say is I want to thank the people that work in this building for all the extra work they had to do for putting down this carpet. I'm sure they weren't dragging all their equipment all over the place and making room so the carpet could be done. They should be commended for the job they helped with. Also, a shout out to the police department. Everybody has read, I think, of the arrests they've done with stolen cars recently. As usual, we can be proud of the police department. It's one of the, I feel it's probably the best in maybe the state, I would say. It's Black Heritage Month this month, which is very important. And I just want to make out and say that on February 15th in the library, there's going to be a celebration of black music by the Universal Singers, which should be very interesting. It's basically they're going to go over music of various black artists from the past, mostly from the past, but even current black artists. Another thing, as far as Black Heritage Month, on February 28th, Marvin Jetterson, rather, who's an actor and a professor in one of the colleges, he's making a presentation on Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was a baritone singer. He's an actor, and he was a pro football player and black activist. So he's going to do a nice report and stand up on this gentleman. April 28th, I know it's in the future, but it's very important to me. There's going to be a Holocaust. I'm going to mention this every month till April. There's going to be a Holocaust Remembrance Day at the Senior Center. So mark your calendars for April 28th. One other thing, I just wasn't going to mention it, but I just wanted to throw this in. The people that are coming into this country are not illegals. They're undocumented. The word illegal is totally inappropriate, and I think everybody should be aware of that. They're undocumented people. There's no such thing as an illegal person, and I think we should make public note of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Stay in order, ma'am. You're not being recognized at the moment. No one is going to be speaking up when I'm running a meeting. I please hope you understand that. We're going to maintain order. You're not hanging out on a street corner here. This is a public meeting. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to have that when I'm conducting a meeting. All right, now my turn. My first order that I wanted to mention was a very sad thing. Back on January 31st, just I believe it was last Wednesday, week ago Wednesday, 3 of our residents were killed in a car accident on Route 130. Our condolences go out to the family of all of our residents. Ellen Brotman, Alba Olivencia, and Wilson Olivencia all passed away. Accident on 130. Apparently they were trying to cut across, got hit by a school bus. The school bus driver had minor injuries. 2 children on the school bus, thankfully, were not injured. But we lost 3 of our residents. So I think that's a sad day for the township. Following up on 2 things that Mike said. Number 1, Paul Robeson, Rutgers graduate, my alma mater. So I think that's a very good thing, and he is very well respected. So I'm sure that's going to be a wonderful presentation. And the second thing is talking about what the great job our police have been doing, and they have been doing an outstanding job. This is not the only instance, but now this last one, let me tell you what happened. 2 guys are trying to sell a stolen car to one of our residents, and it was listed, and the resident said, yeah, I'm interested in buying the car. So they said, well, we're going to come to your house. And somehow things weren't adding up. Our resident became a little bit suspicious, called the police, and they set up like a little sting operation. So they caught the 2 guys in the action of selling this vehicle to our resident. Turns out the vehicle was in fact stolen. So they got the guy, but then on top of it, to make it even better, there was a second vehicle that was there, which was going to pick up the first 2 guys after they stole the first stolen vehicle, and they were in a stolen vehicle too. The police officers came up, they managed to also arrest those 2 guys and recover that stolen vehicle. So as a result of the action of a smart citizen and our police department, we were able to have 4 bad guys guys arrested, taken to the Middlesex County Jail, and recovered 2 stolen vehicles. So great job by our police department, and not the first time they've done good things. And I don't know whether this was a big factor in it or not, but a few months ago we were talking about our license plate readers that we've been purchasing, and that helps tell the officers when a car enters the town whether or not it's stolen, and they have it in all the police vehicles in different setups. So great job with that. And from my personal view, I also think it's a perfect example of why everything does not go out on Nixle. Many times people come in here and they go, there was a car stolen, why wasn't it put on Nixle? Well, bad guys, they listen, they got the Nixle too, you know? So if you tell them what's going on and you let them know that the police are on to them, and chances are they wouldn't have stopped. But I like to say that our police are experienced. We rely on their discretion when to use the Nixle, when not to use the Nixle, when people need to know stuff, and when they don't need to know stuff. So that's a little bit more important than just some of the impulsive nature, some of our citizens who just want it on everything. We're all curious. We all have that sense of curiosity. Hey, I read about this, I read about that. We want to know what's going on. Did I know that guy that was in the accident? But sometimes let the police do their work. We are one of the safest towns, not just in Middlesex County, not just in the state of New Jersey, but actually in the entire country. We have one of the best police forces. I will continue to support them, and I rely on them to do their job. I don't ask them to do my job, and I'm going to let them do their job. So thank you again to our police for another outstanding job. And then lastly, they deserve, not for me, for them, Super Bowl Sunday is coming. It's next Sunday, February 11th, my birthday. As a Rutgers guy, I'll be supporting my boy Isaiah Pacheco and the Kansas City Chiefs. Another Rutgers guy, although there are 2 Rutgers guys on San Francisco also on the defense, so they're going to be trying to tackle each other. But I always enjoy rooting for my boy Pacheco. I like Mahomes and Kelsey. You got a whole Taylor Swift thing going on in there, people. That goes both ways. And by the way, San Francisco is a great team too. I think this is going to be a fine representative Super Bowl on both sides. Should be a fun game. If you do go out and you go to a party, please be careful. And if you're having alcohol, please make sure you got a designated driver so we don't have any more bad stories like these poor people that got killed in the other accident. I'm not saying there wasn't any alcohol involved in that, but still, let's be careful and keep the town safe. So thank you for indulging me in those matters. With that, we would normally move to the mayor's report, but I know you spoke earlier, Mr. Weinberg. Was there anything else from the mayor?
No, that's it.
All right, you already filled us in on that, so we now go to the public comments portion. You are not limited to just agenda items anymore. It's open on anything. 5 minutes per speaker. Could I have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First up, George, you actually moved closer, so appreciate that. In the interest of expediency, we will take you first.
George Kunkelman, 5 Kelly Court, Monroe. On the consent agenda, item 073, which is the modification to the bid for the thing. Why is this number not included in the item earlier tonight for funding the thing? Why are we doing it now as a separate item?
Mr. Weinberg?
So what that is earlier, that is a capital ordinance that allows us to put in place the money to be able to award contracts to effectuate both the construction and the professional services associated with it. The earlier item, the ordinance is putting the money in place. It's called the capital ordinance. And this is a regular resolution by which we spend some of that money in the capital ordinance to actually build the project.
It's not in addition to the capital ordinance. It's in addition to their previous contract.
Correct.
All right.
It's all part of the $5 million.
So this, It's sort of strange, architectural services and construction administration in the same house. How does that happen, and how do they supervise themselves?
No, they're supervising the construction. So the architect who designed the building is the one who's overseeing the administration of the construction of what they designed. So they're the people that are best to know.
All right, I'm sorry, but this is my old trade.
Okay.
And the idea that in the management of construction that there are never issues about the inputs from the architectural side is not accurate. That's not how it works. Oftentimes there are issues that come up where there are problems there that need to be adjudicated, and it's unusual to have construction management and architectural under the same roof, and extremely unusual to have them under the same roof for the same project.
Not unusual in the public sector, though.
Okay.
Correct.
It's not. In fact, it's usual in the public sector.
It is.
Well,
that might be a whole completely different discussion we should have over coffee, but that's normally this is what happens.
Was that number bid then?
Yeah. The answer is yes, and in the public sphere, you find firms like Alimo and other firms that do everything from design, bid to construction management on a project. They do all three segments.
Yeah.
And in this design segment, it's a little less. It's a building, so you get a lot more architectural involvement than just doing site plans and roads and things like that. So the answer to your question is the one firm has all those components within it, and they do the design, which includes both the architectural for the building and the civil. Sorry, I'm trying to use the right words. Then that same firm bids out the project, and then that same firm has a wing of it that does the construction management, hearkening back to their designers where there's an issue. That's how it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're explaining it accurately, but we should have the coffee. It's
Point
a real
noted.
bad idea. And it costs us all a lot of money. I'm sorry. We've seen it in other public projects.
What else you got, George?
Items 74 and 75, they're transfer items. How much money are we talking about?
So in 74, it's just $200,000 out of the $70 million budget that we're moving around.
Yep.
And in the next one, I believe
Reserves.
it's a transfer. Sorry, the first one was the reserve transfers, and the second one is emergency temporary, just for some grass bags that we're going to need to buy before the full budget is done. And yeah, it's a negligible amount of money. It's
okay. That's
based on the whole budget.
There, when someone was talking earlier, I think Joe was talking about the possibility of putting solar panels on one of the buildings. In general, I think we ought to be, as a town, thinking about where we could have sites for solar panels. And, there's a lot of open space that might be suitable. I see a lot of open land under power lines. I don't know what the rules are in New Jersey. In other states, they're putting panels under power lines. I don't know if we can here or not. Possibly, if someone would reach out to Wayne D'Angelo, he's on all the appropriate committees in Trenton that relate to that. He's,
Not to interrupt you, but just to let you know that we are starting to work at finding appropriate places for that, and Kevin's helped us out a lot. We hired a firm that's actually starting to help coordinate so that we might have something that we could look forward to, whether it be roofs, parking lots, a lot of different things. So it's in the works. We're not there yet. We're not ready.
I'm more interested in large open spaces. We have a lot of power lines that run through that are just mowed underneath and maintained. And as I say, I know that in some other states, they're actually putting panels. I mean, and we're talking about acres and acres, not talking about
another
100,000 square
area of
feet.
debate, because I personally am not fond of putting solar panels over grass and streams and things like that. I like to cover them over parking lots because they're already, they already have an impervious coverage. But we're looking at everything. So we're trying to do the environmentally right thing.
It doesn't
and-
affect the impervious coverage.
it doesn't look very nice,
No, it's
though.
unelevated, the grass is still underneath, and it still perks.
I hear you.
And,
You know, it's-
and if it's near the power lines, it's near where it needs to go to.
All right. Thanks.
you.
Appreciate your input. You're welcome to come up, please.
My name is Naomi Holzer, and I live at 453 Bluebird Drive, Monroe.
All right, welcome. Now's your time to be heard.
So I am sympathetic for what you said, because we have to be very careful with the way we speak about people. I'm a retired midwife, and for years I used to hear babies born out of wedlock being called illegitimate. Okay, like when does a baby become a legal entity? Okay, it's a baby. So I feel for what you say about these people, about the people that are migrating into our country, that we shouldn't refer to them as illegals. Okay, I get that. But on the other hand, we were talking about, you were just talking about, we all say things that are not completely woke. Okay, like you were saying repeatedly, Black Americans,
African Americans, what?
Yeah, but the more appropriate term for somebody who wants to be, hold themselves in high regard for regarding other people, we should be calling it not Black History Month anymore, because it once used to be called, they used to use the word Negro, the Negro Month, so we've moved away from that, we went to Black. But now we should be more elevated, and we should be calling it African American History Month. So, this repeatedly, and I tolerated it while you said it, because I felt like we're all a product of our past. Some of us haven't moved on yet to the new terms, but we should all say it to each other nicely.
Yes, you're right.
I agree.
We should all say it to us nicely.
Yes, exactly.
When someone
Not-
says, you know what, the word "but" means forget about what I just said. And you use that word quite a bit. But.
Well, let me put the word "and" then. And we should all say it to each other nicely. Okay, I'm a little nervous. I'm not a public speaker, and so you're taking me apart. Thank you. Okay,
I'm not
it was a
taking
big
you apart.
effort for me.
I'm not taking you apart.
That was taking me apart.
Well, you
Okay,
didn't-
it was a big effort for me to come up here, and I think I was being kind to you by saying to you that you meant well, and I accept what you said.
But.
And we all have room for improvement, including yourself.
All right, well, thank you. And you know what, let's all try to get along. We're all people of Monroe. We all care about our town. A lot of us have different views. Okay, we don't agree with everybody, but thank you. And I do think that was very nice of you to come up and say what you had said. So who else would like to come forward? Again, sir.
Good evening. Joe Atanasio, 21 Wellington Place.
Welcome again.
Hey, happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
We
very
share
much.
one.
I appreciate, oh, wonderful.
Us, Sheryl Crow, Thomas Edison.
That's right, Thomas Edison was our...
We are a sanctuary state. Are we a sanctuary town? All I'm saying is this. I worked on the New York Stock Exchange floor for 37 years. I was co-chair of the Security and Safety Committee, also on 9/11. Our mission was to be prepared. We had a plan for snowstorms, transit strikes. Before the word pandemic was even uttered, we had a plan for that. All I'm saying, guys, have a plan. A plan doesn't cost you one dime. The implementation of the plan costs money. Having no plan costs a lot of money. All I'm saying, folks, have a plan for housing, for schooling, for health care, because it's coming, and it's coming soon. Thank you very much.
Sir.
That mic may have got out. You may have to use the other mic.
Yeah, use the other one. I should.
If this microphone's not working, feel free to sit at the other chair. Welcome, and again, we'll need your name and address.
Harold Kane, 40B Newport Way in Rossmore.
Hi, Harold.
Question for Mark. He alluded to the widening of Prospect Plains.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question.
You mentioned the widening of Prospect Plains, that the tracks were being bought up, or the tracts of land, so it could be widened. Is that in progress now?
Yes, that's been in progress for several months now, and I believe there's 2 properties in condemnation that we're going through that process right now as well.
I'm guessing this is a county project?
This is a Middlesex County-sponsored project. Our obligations under the agreement is to acquire the necessary right-of-way. And I want to say there was about 13 parcels plus 18 parcels, and we have most of them have been acquired, and there's a couple still in condemnation.
All right, let's go back to 2012. You were probably sitting there, I was sitting here. And it was after the second flood in Rossmore since I lived there. Since then, we've had a third flood. And I brought up the fact that when it was mentioned, this project they're doing, it was like 11 or 12, right, was the first time this came up? You guys weren't here, so you wouldn't have known. But it did come up. Mayor Pucci and Wayne Hamilton were sitting over there. And my comment after the flood was, we can't move water out of Rossmore fast enough to preclude it. Now, this last flood was really somewhat tragic here because Councilwoman Schneider was flooded out. And at her age and the stress, it couldn't have helped. And my recommendation to them was, and they agreed, if you want to move more water out of Rossmore, you have to start at Prospect Plains and widen the channel under Prospect Plains to at least equal that of the channel on Granite Drive in Cranberry, which is maybe 50 yards away. If you have to go over there and actually walk it out a little bit to see it. But again, if they're going to be widening it, this would be the time for a change order. It's a lot less money to do a change order on an existing project that hasn't even started yet than it is to finish the first project, then go back and dig everything up all over again. It'll cost you 3 or 4 times as much. And they agreed with me. They understood that. So I guess I'm back to where we were 10 or 12 years ago, that this should seriously be looked at. It will be one of the keys to start to eliminate some of the flooding coming in Rossmore after bad rainstorms. 05 was a freak Sunday afternoon storm where I believe we had 8 inches of rain in 2 hours. 11 was Hurricane Irene, and 21 was the remnants of hurricane came ashore in Louisiana and just came up over the southern part of the United States, and we got the end of it. 150 units flooded out. This last one was actually the worst. As far as the storms went, it was the least as far as wind or anything like that, but it flooded the most units. Water came up as far as New Haven Way, which had never gone up that far before, and people were flooded in that entire area, plus the other part was flooded out and hadn't flooded before up right off Forest Gate Drive. But this would be one of the first steps you would have to do, is widen Prospect Plains and increase the throughput underneath it. So if they're really going to do this again, which apparently they are, this would be a great time for a change order for it, to expand the channel to at least equal what's over in Cranberry. You'd increase your throughput by about 50%. And that would lower the water level from the lower bridge on Newport over to Prospect Plains. So anyway.
Well, thank you for your input. Seems to make sense. I wouldn't know. It's not my area of expertise, but you've been here a while, so
I've been here a while.
I appreciate your caring for your fellow people at Rossmore too.
Yeah, I hate to see your neighbors and all that get flooded.
I get it.
No reason for it.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Council President, if I can just say on that, there has been grant money provided by Middlesex County, and there is a study underway. Certainly Rossmore and their professionals are spearheading that with the grant money provided by the county.
Is there any way to communicate these thoughts to the county, that they may consider it more?
Since 2012, the project was scaled back as far as the widening. At one time, they were looking at, I believe, a 5-lane road. Now it's scaled back to be, a total of 3 lanes, so the widening has been significantly reduced. The area of the culvert, I believe, is not getting widened in that area. There is stormwater management being provided at the eastern end of the project. So that has been taken into account, and again, as I said, there's more of a regional look at that channel, at that drainage in that area, because that channel not only runs through Monroe, it runs into Cranberry, sure. and also Helmetta, comes out of Helmetta, Jamesburg. So it is more of a regional matter that the county is looking at.
One other question that you may or may not know. Do we have any idea when that study may be completed?
At the moment, I do not, no.
Okay, just wondering, but thank you for your help, and thank you, Mr. Kane. Lucille, come on, again. Welcome again.
Yes, thank you. Lucille Panos, 1208 Sealandera Plaza. I haven't had much dealings with many departments in this township, except for the clerk's department. I want to say thank you. Patty, I wish you the best of luck. When I've been politically involved more so, there was never any question. You just did your job and you did it well. You have a nice life, and I think you had a good teacher. You got big steps to fill. Okay, so now, this, we talked about shared services. Is this on?
Yes, it is. Yes, ma'am, it is.
Shared services with the Board of Ed and things like that. Well, and then I watched the tape of the last council meeting when somebody came up and spoke, do you have a plan? It was like embarrassing. The mayor brought up, what do you want us to build, a wall? Mr. Renone, you were disrespectful at one point.
I disagree.
Okay, well, is there any council person, maybe you could take a vote here, who thinks there...
Not taking a vote, come on.
Who thinks there should be a plan? Who thinks there should be a plan? It's happening. There's a new mayor in Jamesburg. Maybe you could have a meeting with him and see what's going on there. Because St. James Church, there's a number of families using that address. So will they come to Monroe schools? We don't know. The governor, join the governor. Say thank you, Governor Murphy, for asking for money. Could just trickle some down to us. Because, we have, whatever you want to call them, illegal immigrants, undocumented, arose by any other name is. They're causing money. And health concerns. Are these people, do they have their vaccinations? Do they have anything? They're human beings. We want to make sure they're taken care of. We want to make sure our families are taken care of. So folks, you need a plan. For whatever reason, monetary, health, or whatever. So please don't take this as a political statement. Nobody here is up for election. Okay, so find a plan. As far as solar farms, I think you should cover BFI and make it's a brownfield and solar farm it.
That is
if you need
something
any
that
help,
has been done, covering up landfills.
no. My cousin probably just built the biggest landfill in North America. So, solar farm in North America. So if you ever want any advice, I'm sure he'll do me the favor. I'm his older cousin. Okay, so now, finally, it has come to my attention. Somebody drew this up to me, a lawyer, because I don't want you to take this I don't want you to take this personal. It has come to my attention that the mayor plans to assign the township business administrator to serve as an employee designee on the planning board. I urge the mayor to reconsider, because the business administrator cannot serve both functions without creating the appearance of impropriety, if not an outright conflict. As administrator, the BA is expected to run the day-to-day operations of the township, which includes dealing with the daily issues that arise with developers and property owners. For the same person to also vote on applications and variances creates a perverse incentive to justify various thoughts. There are dozens of employees in this township that could fill the role without creating such conflict. I request the mayor rescind this. I ask for your support and maybe ask anybody else in this township employee if they would sit on the planning board. This definitely, you always look at the worst that could happen, and the worst that could happen is there's a conflict here. So please consider that. And I happen to think the word is illegal immigrants, not undocumented, illegal immigrants. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Anyone else wish to be heard? So you're already heard. You don't get seconds. You get your one bite at the apple, but if it's a very quick question, I'll accommodate you. Please, just.
Somebody else is going to come up second.
All right,
too, so
but
you can do that.
Really, it's, you have about a minute left from
Okay.
before.
Joe Atanasio, 21 Alton Place, Monroe Township. My question is, when are we going to enforce the prohibition on the engine brake in Monroe?
The prohibition on?
Engine brake. That's a brake that's used by the 12-wheel dump truck jockeys. They activate it, and when it goes past behind your house, my house backs up to Plains, the whole house shakes. In 2004, Monroe Township had an ordinance put in place prohibiting this. I think Wayne Hamilton was involved at that time, and Cranberry also cited it as a great
big
thing.
Trucks?
Sorry?
Big trucks?
Dump trucks, diesel trucks, okay? They use the Jake brake, as they call it, to preserve their brakes, but it shakes your whole house. And we put an ordinance in place in 2004, and at the bottom of the ordinance, it said that there were going to be signage put up. There's no signs in this town. I'm here 17 years, okay? I'd appreciate it very much if you would look into it. The ordinance is in place. Really, I mean, with the increased truck traffic, it's getting really annoying. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard tonight? I see no other hands. At this point, I will entertain a motion to close the public portion.
Motion.
Second.
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 All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Before we adjourn, I have a statement to make that I wanted to make. I too am concerned about a couple of things going on. First of all, we have a family in Monroe, Edward Murrow and his wife. They formed a foundation called the Leonid Foundation. They help the people in Ukraine who have been suffering and put out of their homes, and they send humanitarian aid. It's now been 2 years of that war, and I would like to, we're now at a point where there seems to be a question on supporting the Ukraine. As a public official, take an oath. My oath is to uphold the Constitution and try to do what's best, right? You try and do what's best for the country. And I hear that they're withholding the aid. First, they started to say it was because they wanted to wait until there was aid for the border. I understand that because, you know, why help those people if there's other people coming here? I get it. But now I hear that our Senate has put together a bilateral bill to provide funding for the border, to address a lot of the problems with the border, to put limitations on how many people can come in at a given time, and give the president the powers he wants to do. Problem is that even though we somehow miraculously have Republicans and Democrats coming together on this issue, when it goes to the House of Representatives, we're already told it's a dead bill. Why? Not because they're considering the bill as whether it's a good bill, whether it's for the best interest of the country, whether it's something that's in the best interest of our Constitution, but because they've been told that if that bill passes, it would make Joe Biden look good and it would hurt Donald Trump. That's wrong. That's simply wrong. If there is a reason for not passing something, that's different. If you say that the provisions are not right, that's it. But here to come forward and say that we're not going to support, and by the way, this was not a Joe Biden bill. This was a James Lankford, who's one of the most conservative Republicans in the U.S. Senate, who put this bill together with the help of Schumer and a couple of the other Democrats, and it addresses so many of the exact problems we're talking about. So I'm going to ask those people to please reconsider, do what's right, follow your oath that you took when you became a member of the House of Representatives. Do what's best for the United States of America. And with that, I just want to say thank you, and I thank you for all of your kind attention tonight, and all of you people who came forward to, give your opinions on things. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Time?
Time is 8:33. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.